Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Timothy Mercer, the managing director of IBOX Global, a provider of technology consulting and managed solutions to government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. Welcome to the show, Timothy.
Thank you.
Timothy, you grew your company's revenue from $1 million in 2014 to $16 million in 2017, a 1,412% increase. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
Yes. So our company provides technology solutions, in particular project management and technology management to government agencies and of course to Fortune 500 corporations. So our focus primarily is on IT products. We're a reseller of various IT solutions such as Cisco and Dell and many of the other popular IT solutions. But we also provide staff augmentation services as well to clients who are in need to augment their staff when it comes to project management or even IT service management type of resources. So we've been very successful in the area, in particular in the government space, but we also have begun to really start getting more involved in the corporate space with Fortune 1,500 corporations as well. So we're really excited about being in that private space and helping those corporations meet their needs as well.
And how would you say you differ from your competitors out there?
Well, I think we differ from the perspective that, number one, my background is IT. I mean, I came from an IT background. I've actually, from several years, have been an IT consultant. So the leadership of our company are actually consultants, individuals who have worked on projects, who have deployed some very large IT-related systems for many high-value clients, such as some of the largest Fortune 500 companies, AT&T and Ernst & Young, and some of these large corporations. So we feel that that experience from a leadership perspective gives us an advantage over some of our other competitors, but particularly competitors that are small business competitors, because they may not necessarily have that type of experience from a leadership perspective, that hands-on experience. So the individuals that we hire to work on the various projects that we have are senior level resources, individuals who understands how to take a project from start to finish. And so we take that consulting approach when we engage our clients, and not only from the perspective of just buying certain products or services, or just basically putting individuals on the ground to do one particular aspect of a project, but we look at the project from a holistic point of view. And even though we may be focused on one particular section of the project, by taking that holistic point of view and having the expertise of deploying projects from start to finish, we think that has given us the edge over our competitors.
Right, having the holistic view more than anything else.
That is correct.
All right, got it. So you grew your company pretty rapidly, I'd say, from $1 million in 2014, and then 3 years later, you're at 16 million. What were the three biggest drivers of that growth?
Well, that growth, in my opinion, really, it's like the snowball effect. One of the things that we focused on, even from the very beginning, is we focused on processes and having the right processes in place to ensure that we're meeting our clients' needs. And so when we first started out, our company started in actually 2008. And obviously, during those early years, that's like with most businesses, it takes some time for a company to really ramp up and grow. And so during those times, we wanted to be able to lay a good foundation in terms of having the right processes in place. Even when we were working on smaller contracts, we looked at those contracts as if they were large contracts, and we implemented the right processes and procedures and put those in place. And we started focusing on identifying the senior level resources that could go out and help us fulfill those contracts. And so the reason why I say it was more of a snowball effect is because having that foundation in place, and working some of the smaller contracts and working them just as if they were very large engagements. After a while, we started seeing the momentum pick up. So in the years where we hit that million mark in revenue, and we started going from $1 million to $2 million, it just started having a snowball effect. And we believe it's just like what we call exponential growth, right? I mean, once that foundation was in place, things really just started expanding from there. We have good customers, good clients that we support, and we've been with those clients for a while, where we work small contracts for them, and then by fulfilling and doing a great job on those contracts, those clients, then we became more of a trusted advisor to our clients. And as a result of that, our clients begin to trust us with larger contract engagements. And that's how we started seeing that growth really expand from the million revenue mark to the point where we reached the 16 million mark, and it's constantly growing even today.
Okay, so you mentioned a few things here. I'm not sure if we should lump it in as just one driver or several. So you talk about improving the processes,
Yes.
treating your small contracts like big contracts, and then once you had these processes nailed down, it enabled you to take on larger projects and deliver and meet the needs of your clients.
Yes.
So would you say the driver is just one, the processes, or is there a second one? You mentioned becoming a trusted advisor.
Yeah, I think it's the processes is one. I think the becoming their trusted advisor and really working with our existing client base and becoming a partner with our clients, and having a holistic view of what their mission and goals are. I would say that is two. And I would say thirdly, it's our resources, being able to have senior level resources, very high qualified resources that could go in on these contract engagements and do multiple things. Not just having a resource that's just focused on one particular thing, but having resources that serve as consultants to the client, and able to then scale with the client in multiple areas. I believe that is what has helped us to really grow, because we were able then to go in and find more opportunities because of our broad skill sets.
Right. When you say senior level resources, are you talking about full-time team members, or are you talking about external resources that you can bring into a project?
Well, both. We do have staff or end of senior level resources. And when I say senior level resources, I'm not talking about management, but just senior level consultants, individuals with 10 plus more years of experience. We have those individuals on staff, but we also have the capability of sourcing and bringing on additional resources for projects that, as those projects grow, we have a pool of contracting resources as well, with the same level of expertise and experience that we can tap into.
Okay, got it. And then to become a trusted advisor and a partner with clients, you mentioned before, it kind of dovetailed in with having processes that delivered the work in a timely fashion and met or exceeded their expectations. Was there anything else you did to facilitate becoming a client's trusted advisor, becoming their partner?
Well, I think one of the key things is, from our perspective, going back to the holistic approach. Even though we may be hired to do a particular job or a particular effort, we try to understand, again, the holistic approach of all of our clients, whether it's a federal government client or even a large commercial client. We try to understand the holistic approach, because we understand that the work that we do, in the end, it all impacts the bottom line of our clients. So in understanding that holistic view, we're able to then identify various dependencies that our work that our work that we're doing may be a dependency on other things that's going on within the organization, or also there may be other dependencies outside of our scope that we would need help in fulfilling our work. So in understanding that, yes, that's how we are able to then become, like I said, more of a trusted advisor, because then we can advise our clients in a lot of other different areas. Because as you know now, technology, at one point, IT or information technology was really more of a a complementary thing for most corporations or most organizations. Whereas now information technology or IT is actually the driver of an organization at this point. It's the one of probably the biggest driver of most organizations now that really drives the bottom line of all the organizations that we work with.
Right, got it. Now, how much of your growth from 1 million to 16 million came from new clients, totally new clients, versus just doing more with your existing clients?
I would say that it's about a 60-40 split, where that growth came, 60% of that growth came from our existing clients, and 40% came from new clients. Obviously, our focus is always to really ensure that our existing client base is well cared for. And so we do spend a lot of time, in working within our existing client base and getting additional work from the services that we are currently already providing. But then that other 40% actually comes much of that have came from referrals of our existing clients, where our existing clients have gone out and told partner companies that they have or they know, or other agencies that they are familiar with, told them about the work that we do. And so a lot of our business does come from referral. In fact, I would say that roughly 80% of our business comes from referral. Any new business that we do come from the referral base.
Right. And your growth from 1 million to 16 million, how much of that was from the public sector and how much of that is from the private sector?
I would say about 80% of it from the federal sector. The initial years of our company was primarily focused on the federal space. That's where we kind of really got to learn how to deal with large organizations. As you know, the government is what many people will call the biggest customer or one of the largest buyers of products and services on the planet Earth, right? The U.S. government, they pretty much buy all types of products and services. So with us being able to get our experience working with large federal agencies, it gave us the insight and the capabilities that we needed to then start venturing over into the commercial space, where we are starting engaging some of the larger commercial clients. So our growth primarily during that period of time, 80% of that came from the federal space. But we're seeing now that as a result of that is giving us the experience and the capabilities now to really venture over into the commercial or the private space with some of the larger Fortune 5,000, larger Fortune 500 and Fortune 1,000 corporations.
Right. How much of your business today is government versus private sector?
Today it's roughly pretty much the same. About 75 to 80% is in the federal space, and we're still somewhere around the 20% in the private space.
Right. And say 5 years from now, how do you foresee that breakdown?
Well, 5 years from now, our goal is to get more involved in the commercial space. We're starting to see some traction. We're starting to market more to larger corporations and sharing with them the capabilities that we have. Obviously, the commercial space it's different from the government, right? Those are two different verticals, and this really the mindset and the marketing messages and your marketing plan has to be different, because it's just totally different. So we're now starting to put more resources and centered around the commercial space, and our goal is within the next 5 years is to close the gap on that, where we're maybe 60-40, 60% still being government and 40 being commercial. And again, that's because our expertise and our experience over the past several years have been in the federal space, and obviously, we have relationships and that we've created with various government agencies that we will obviously maintain. But we feel by now being able to now start putting resources towards that commercial space, and we do understand it would take time, but hopefully over the next 5 years we can close the gap on that.
So why not just be 100% focused on government contracts?
Well, again, even though the government is the largest buyer on the planet Earth, Yet and still, we still want to have the diversification, right? Obviously, there are challenges sometimes that goes on with the government, as we've seen before, with government shutdowns and things of that nature. You have budgets, you have changes of administrations and things of that nature that can impact your ability to win contracts, or may slow down certain things within the government space. We still want to have that diversification. We want to be able to have diversification to know and to know that we can still be successful and have our business to be successful with having other lanes. So we just believe that having the government space as one lane and having commercial as another lane is probably the best way to grow a business. And if you look at larger corporations today, you look at some of the bigger corporations, you look at some of the most successful larger corporations, that's what they do. They have a dedicated commercial entities or departments, and then they still support the government. So large corporations today, even Amazon and some of these large Microsoft and some of these larger corporations, they still do sell to the government as well. So we try to take that same approach, even though we are a small business and we'll probably more likely stay in that small business realm, but we feel that we can utilize some of the same strategies that a lot of large businesses are doing, and just maybe do it on a lower scale. But that our focus is to try to mimic what we see some of our larger mentoring type of companies, or companies that we strive to be like. We look at what they're doing and try to mimic some of the same things.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. No point rediscovering the wheel, right? You might as well just
absolutely
take what's working and execute it. Now, how many commercial clients do you have today, and how many do you think you'll need 5 years from now to get to the 60-40 split?
Right. So today we support about 5 commercial clients. I think to get to where we need to be, and I don't necessarily think that it's not the number of clients, right, that I think that we need, meaning that I don't think to get to that ratio that we're talking about, I don't think we necessarily need to scale up and say now we have 15 or 20 commercial clients. I think that even if we move the needle on that a few, maybe if we go to 7 to 10, I think it's all about the quality of work and the value or the volume of work that we do with those existing clients. That's where our focus is, right? To be able to take the relationships that we currently have with those clients and to see if we can scale within those organizations where we are, because these are larger organizations, there are various departments and other areas that we haven't even tapped into yet, that I think if we can scale there, then that would help move the needle on the ratio. And of course, obviously from our marketing efforts, we're seeking after and going after additional commercial clients as well too. But I think also if the focus is on how do we grow the client base that we currently have.
Right. So just to keep the math easy, say you're at 5 today, and
Yes.
getting 10 5 years from now will go a long ways toward hitting your targets and having less dependency on the government and bring up the commercial side.
That's
What's
correct.
your marketing plan to get these 5 additional clients? And you can't always depend on referrals, right? Because referrals
Correct.
come and go, and you can't really control it so well.
Yes. Well, that is right. Yeah. I mean, referrals, although I think referrals are one of probably the best way, right? It's obviously the sales cycle is longer. It takes time. It's relationship building. So that takes time. But at the same time too, I think that you're able to build a stronger customer base from that perspective. But in terms of other marketing ways, we're doing the other grassroots marketing things. We do obviously web-based marketing or internet-based marketing, which in terms of website marketing and just internet, all your things that go with internet-based marketing. We're also doing we're looking at now of doing a campaign, telemarketing campaign, where we can obviously reach out to the primary stakeholders within the organizations, the C-level stakeholders, to be able to offer some of our services. And our mindset is to not to come in and try to gain all type of work with clients, but actually to come in and start small, right? To talk to them about some of their smaller initiatives, where there may be some project management work, or maybe just some small technology management type work that we can come in and do, with the mindset of, if we can show you that we can do this work well, and we show you that we can bring value add to that client, then we believe that over time that work will increase. So, but to answer your questions, yes, referrals is one, but your grassroots marketing methods such as internet-based marketing, telemarketing, calling campaigns, even we're actually looking at possibly doing some television and radio campaigns, and that's more so from a branding perspective, right? I think television and radio are things that really just solidifies your brand, but that's also important when we're doing marketing as well too, that we kind of help solidify our brand and keep our brand in the minds of our clients.
Right, and that's especially important with the larger entities, both government and corporates and private sector alike, right? When they have a long buying process, and it might take a year, 2 years before they're ready to make a decision.
That's correct.
So I took a look at your website before we did our interview, and I didn't really see a huge amount of web traffic coming to your site, nor did I see paid ads being run right now. But my business intelligence tools can give inaccurate data. Is it the case where you're not doing a lot of SEO work and organic traffic building work and not much paid ads, or is there something else going on?
Yeah, and for now we're not. That is correct. That is part of our strategy and plan going forward, in particular as we approach the upcoming year. And one of the reasons being is that the government sector for us has been very beneficial in terms of, because obviously with the government we don't necessarily have to do a lot of that type of marketing. With the government, it's more about understanding their buying process for the various agencies that we work with, and basically following that buying process. So there's not a lot of web marketing we would have to do in that regard. Now, of course, with the commercial business that we have achieved and won over the past several years, a lot of that has been driven from the relationship that we have with some of our larger partner vendors, such as Cisco and Dell, those vendors that we work very heavily with. So in that regards, we've been able to get business or attract business through the relationships that we have with those vendors. So the plan going forward in terms of as we approach the fiscal year 2020 is to implement some of those strategies, such as getting the website SEO improvements, paid ads, and those type of things going. But you are correct. At this point in time, we haven't been actively doing those things yet. So that's really part of the future plans that we're looking to implement. Right.
Are you doing much email marketing right now?
Not as much as we should. We have done email marketing through the relationships that we have with the Cisco, which is one of our main vendors. We do a lot of Cisco. We sell a lot of their products, services, and solutions. And so they have a partner portal and a partner program where they assist in email marketing, and they have an outstanding marketing department that assists partners like us with those type of campaigns. So we've leveraged their marketing campaigns, and we've leveraged the marketing support that they've provided over the past couple of years. We've been leveraging that, and that has been successful. But we haven't gone out and done those type of things in either internally or gone out and hired external marketing companies to do that for us yet. But that is something that we're looking forward and planning to do as we go into the next fiscal year.
Right. Now, you talk about quite a few different things that you're thinking about doing on the internet marketing space. What do you think is the first thing you're going to do first?
Well, I think the first thing is the refresh of our website. We are planning to just do a whole refresh of the website. I believe that your website is like your storefront, and so if you have a storefront in a neighborhood or in a community, obviously you want to that storefront should change from time to time, right? So
Yep.
I honestly believe that on a yearly basis we should refresh our site and just kind of give it a whole new rebranding. So one of the things that we're looking into now, and we're making part of the plan, is to do a whole new refresh of the site, where we actually kind of do a whole new rebranding of the site, whole new fresh look and feel, and then also as a result of that, putting together a whole new approach with regards to SEO marketing, as you mentioned before, some Google ad advertisement, as well as some additional email marketing campaigns around that. But the first initial thing is to just do that whole new refresh of the site, so that we can then incorporate those marketing aspects into after the fact.
Are you planning on doing this all in-house, or will you bring in some outside partners to help with you?
More likely we bring in outside partners. Yeah. We do have a small marketing team, but we also believe that with these type of projects, I feel that it's more cost effective to have outside consultants or have outside contractors come in and help with those type of engagements, because obviously these type of projects are things that we for now anyway, we don't necessarily do on a consistent basis to have a full-time person doing that type of work. But as we grow and as we see the need, and we may decide to do that. But yeah, we do use outside companies. We also use a lot of 1099 contractors. We're very we're big. We're starting to see now the value of sites like Upworks, and many of those sites where there are a lot of very well qualified freelancers and contractors that can help out with those type of engagements. It just depends on what the engagements are and how sophisticated they need to be, which will help us to determine whether we need to hire a full-time agency or an contracting agency, or if we go out and just get individual contracting work.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in terms of doing it in-house versus bringing someone on board. And in some cases, you pretty much have to bring someone outside if what they're doing is constantly changing.
Yes.
Like for example, in the paid advertising space, I've talked to business owners who just say, I've never gotten Google Ads campaigns to give me a decent enough return on investment. And in my mind, the problem is that they're competing against other people who have outsourced it to an agency who live and breathe pay-per-click ads 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Whereas the business owner is focusing, I don't know, how much time are they spending? A couple hours a week maximum, right? On their campaigns.
That's right.
And it's hard to beat someone like that, just from a simple expertise and amount of time you have available to watch over everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think from a small business perspective, man, we're small business owners. We have to know how to leverage other resources, that's external resources like other companies and agencies, right? Because as a small business, it's very difficult to just have a full-time staff to do some of that type of work, right? Because it's an expense, but it's an ongoing expense that can then kind of bleed into your revenue. So I think being able to know how to identify partner companies that can help augment those aspects of your business, who are very good at those things, right? And obviously you got to be able to discern how good they are, but if they're good at those things, and finding companies that you can partner with that can be an extension of our internal staff, I think that's obviously a smart business move to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, it's not too different from what you do with your current clients as well, right?
Absolutely.
So you brought up an interesting phrase here, expense. What's your take on marketing? In your mind, is it an expense or an investment?
I look at it as an investment. Obviously, marketing is something that you have to do. And again, there's different aspects of marketing, right? I mean, you have marketing, obviously, that you want to do to generate and bring in new clients, and then there's the branding aspect. Being able to constantly keep that brand out there in front of your existing clients, but either way, it's still it's an investment that you have to make in order to continue to grow the business. Now, obviously, on your income statement, it's going to be listed as an expense, right?
Yep.
You know, and but yet and still it's an expense that hopefully will give you an ROI. And I think the key for a lot of small businesses like us is that we have to have things in place. We have to have processes and things in place to be able to help us to determine what that ROI is. One of the mistakes I think that most small businesses makes is that we'll put money into marketing, and marketing can be very hard to assess and determine what that ROI is. So I think first of all, you have to first figure out, first of all, how do I determine that my ROI? What things are in place that help us to determine what that ROI is, so that we can know what is being effective and what's not being effective. Because every marketing strategy there's some marketing strategies are more successful than others. And once you pinpoint that down as to what's more successful, then you just continue to hone in on that. And that's when you start putting more investment dollars behind that marketing strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's nice about the digital marketing, right? It's much easier to track
Yes.
where leads are coming from. But one thing that's I think is always challenging is, how do you track the brand recognition that you get from marketing, whether it be online or offline?
Yeah, I think brand recognition is the most difficult thing to track, right? Because again, the branding, branding really doesn't necessarily always bring in new customers, right? Branding is there to, in my opinion, just to establish your presence in the marketplace, and that is difficult to determine, because one of your existing clients may see your branding and they may call you up and say, hey, listen, but they're not going to tell you that's the reason why they're calling you up, because they saw your branding. They just know that, right? So
they might not even know that's why they called you up, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I think from a branding is that spend with branding, in my opinion, is just a spend that you just you have to know that you should be doing. It's a spend that you allocate certain dollars behind it, with not necessarily looking at it and saying one for one, this is my ROI, but it may be something that you look at your overall return on investment as you assessing your return year after year or quarter after quarter. You look at it and you ask yourself, am I meeting my ROI goals? Is my revenue growing? And I think then you would have to know that the branding aspect is a part of that. But I do believe that if you don't do branding and if you're not seeing your ROI grow, then I do believe that you have to look at that and say that maybe that's one of the reasons why my ROI isn't growing, is because I'm not putting the some investment into branding.
Right. What's your take on how much a company in the private sector should spend? Like, what percentage of revenue do you think a company should be spending on their marketing?
Wow. I think that's it's more, I think it's a difficult question. It's probably more, I know that there's probably studies out there that people probably come up with studies and may have said maybe 25% or maybe, 30 or even less. I think, I think each individual company has to decide on their own what they feel that value is. Me personally, I look at it from the perspective that maybe you're looking at 20%, maybe somewhere around 20% for us as a small business. And I think, and I also think when you're looking at the different pools of expenses or where your expenditures are, you have to look at it from that perspective and say, hey, look, we're spending money, in staffing and resources. You kind of look at all those buckets, and then you got to kind of decide where how you want to break out that ratio. So I think it's a very difficult thing to give a company or a business owner just a technical. And you got books out there that's written, marketing books, that try to give you that technical number and say that is the number. But I don't necessarily think that works. I think you have to look at it from your own perspective. You have to have your own discernment about where you feel that the dollars is giving you that ROI. I think you may start out with the number that you may want to look at focusing it on, but you have to evaluate that consistently, in my opinion, every month or even every quarter, but it has to be a periodic a review of it to determine if that number is working for you or not, and then you can determine if you need to scale up or if you need to back down.
Right, exactly. So when you talk about marketing, what do you lump into marketing? Does that include your advertisement, include your sales team, include your marketing team?
Yes, I would say yes. It's advertising. Obviously, our the staff that's working, that's helping put those things together. If you have a marketing, like in our case, we have a marketing person, an individual that kind of helps drive those different campaigns. But it's the spend that we make on executing the marketing strategy,
right,
or the marketing plan. But it's also the spend, that the expenditure that's associated with putting together the marketing strategy, the having the individual, the resources that is putting it together. And even though we break out like business development, we on our income statement and our bookkeeping, we break business development out from marketing. But even business development is a form of marketing.
Yep.
That's either if I have an individual that's on salary, that's paid to drive business development, or even if we have commissionable, because we do have commissionable sales reps who are out hunting down business for us as well too. That's also a part of that spend. And so I kind of look at it in both, all of that kind of lumped together, even though on our income statement is kind of broken out.
Right. I definitely concur with you about lumping all those things in together. Now, you talked earlier about telemarketing. Do you have a telemarketing process in place right now?
Not at this point in time. That is, we've been vetting out and interviewing several different companies. One of the things, as you probably know, because you probably work with a lot of companies that are on the Inc. 500 or Inc. 5000, that can become a part of that. But as a result of becoming one of the Inc. 500 companies, we get a lot of solicitation from various companies that's in that space. So we've been interviewing many of those companies, trying to vet it out. It is a new process for us, so we're kind of taking the time to really vet out, what it means for us, and really assess how do we evaluate whether or not we're getting ROI on that, because it's new. But I think it obviously, I think it's something that is needed, because again, a lot of some people will say that telemarketing is the old school way of doing things, but it has been around for years, even more so longer than internet-based marketing. So it's still effective in some way, or otherwise companies would not still be doing it.
Yeah. And the world's biggest companies are doing it.
So. And the world's biggest companies, that's right. So we're vetting that out now. We're just making sure that we have a good understanding of how we assess what we're getting, assessing what kind of companies are going to be beneficial for us, assessing what our messaging will be, because we don't want to just be out there, spamming companies and calling on companies for the just sake of calling. And we don't want the companies that maybe we contract this work out to be just doing that. We want to be able to know that that we are actually reaching out to companies to offer them value add, and then we need to be able to assess whether or not the partner company that we work with is doing the things that are getting us the ROI that we're looking for.
Yeah, and it's definitely some strategies behind it, right? You definitely don't want to be calling every single Inc. 5000, Fortune 5000 company out there, right? There is a percentage of them that would be your best candidates, and you really need to dial in on those guys and ignore everyone else.
Absolutely, and I think the messaging has to be correct. I mean, I know as a result of us being an Inc. 500 company, we get a lot of sales calls all the time where people have gone and, obviously they probably gone out and gotten the list of the Inc. 500, Inc. 5000 companies, and they basically just start calling on us. But one of the things that I've noticed that when a lot of these companies call on us, their messaging isn't even right. So, and then being as busy as I am, I don't want to be, just called upon by someone and they not really telling me exactly what is it that you're looking for, for with that call, and you need to be able to quickly do it within the matter of 45 seconds, because my attention span is very short in that regards, because I got a lot of things going on. So I think the messaging has to be right. And if you're contracting that type of activity out to someone else, they have to understand that you got to be able to hit that point very quickly and show or at least pique those C-level individuals' interest enough where they feel that going to the next step and having another call, that they may feel that they're going to get some value add that's going to help their bottom line.
Right. How specific does a cold caller need to be for you to give them some time to hear their thoughts, hear their pitch?
Well, I think they have to, first of all, be able to hit. You got to be able to pique my interest by hitting some of my hot buttons, right? Or some of my the things that I'm concerned with. Immediately calling me up, or even if we have telemarketers just calling people up, immediately calling me up and just immediately talking about what you can offer me. That I don't think that's the pitch, because we live in a society where all of the products and services that we offer are pretty much the same, right? I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, right? You can pretty much Google an idea that you may have, and I guarantee you somebody else is either doing it or they done thought about it, right? Yeah. So I think the key is someone being able, you got to be able to figure out, and this is where market analysis needs to come in first before you pick up the phone call and calling this person. You got to figure out what are their pain points. Because you only got 60 seconds to be able to be able to pique someone's interest. And so knowing what my pain point is and speaking directly to that pain point within that 60 seconds is what I think would get my attention. And I think that's what would get any C-level person's attention, is speaking to what my pain point may be and speaking to how you can impact my bottom line. But in doing that, you have to do some market analysis first to be able to kind of figure out what that pain point is. And I think that's where companies have to be good at doing that business or marketing analysis.
Right. Got it. 3 last questions for you, Timothy. First one, what message would you show on a billboard along the freeway that's only going to be seen for 6 seconds or less?
So the message that I would have put on the billboard that
people are driving by at 60 miles per hour, so
right.
They only have 6 seconds to see it.
Right. What would I say? I would probably say that your IT plan is broke. And because I'm trying to attract the attention of individuals who would want to engage us for IT support, right? And I say that because studies indicate that over 60 to 70% of most IT projects fail, right? Most companies will deploy IT products and solutions that they either don't use a year from now, a year after deploying them, or that project never ever fully gets deployed. And so when I say that if I say that the messaging is that your IT plan is broke, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to engage the stakeholders to figure out, well, okay, maybe he's right. So so the messaging will be something centered around that fact that over 80% or nearly 80% of IT projects fail. And what we've become good at, or our focus is from a project/technology management perspective, is to close the gap for agencies, federal agencies and organizations, is to close the gap on them for how well they do with their projects. One of our slogans is that we excel at execution, right? That's one of our slogans. And that's basically saying that, our goal is to ensure that whatever project or engagement or endeavor that you're doing from an IT perspective, we've put together the process and procedures and bring the expertise to ensure that those projects become successful. where, because again, the statistic says that nearly 80% of most IT projects either fail or they basically, it gets thrown out a year later after deployment. And so we want to close the gap on that.
Right. Yeah, I remember one company, I forget which one it was, but they were taking so long to execute their project. And it was like a large computer server sort of project.
Yeah.
that the equipment they bought was on the verge of becoming obsolete because it took so
Absolutely.
long.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I've been on projects like that before. We've worked projects like that before where you're absolutely right. I mean, it took so long that the equipment goes end of life, or I've been on projects where the projects had gotten deployed, right? And so you have from the IT perspective, the IT departments of the organization says, okay, it got deployed, but the business was never ready to receive it. So even though it got deployed, the business was never ready to receive it, or what they didn't even have the idea of it being, of what it's going to do for them. And so the business owners or the end users never used the new solution. So a year later, the solution ends up getting thrown out.
Right.
And you see that a lot with various project engagements. And so one of the things that we've done is we've started honing in on that from an IT service delivery perspective. Or, one of the services we offer is called IT service delivery, which is a component of ITSM, which is IT service management. But basically it's the component of how do we bridge the gap between the technology side of the business either the IT departments and the business side, the individuals, the end users who are going to be using that solution, bridging that gap to ensure that when an IT solution is deployed, the end users, the business folks that are using that solution are ready to receive it. They welcome being able to receive it, and they understand how it's going to impact their day-to-day operations, so that they are comfortable with receiving it and understand the value of it. And so our services that we offer comes in to help bridge that gap, and so that is successful. And in the end, so that spend that the organization has made on that solution does not go in vain.
Right. Makes sense. So when you come across a new client and they've got these broken projects or projects on the verge of becoming failures and busted completely, do you salvage them and fix them, or do you just introduce a totally new solution?
Well, it all depends on what direction the client wants to go in, and it all depends on from assessing that situation in agreement with the client as to what direction we need to go. In some cases, we may need to throw it out. We may need to throw the old solution out and start from scratch. I mean, there was a project that a federal project that we worked on where that was just the case, where we were brought in it was a software solution that they had put in. It was a solution that was kind of old and antiquated, and they wanted us initially to come in and fix that solution. But as we began to dive deep into it, we realized that, hey, for what you guys are wanting to do, you need more of an enterprise grade solution, because after scoping it out and understanding their requirements, we began to realize that what the solution that they needed was something that was more enterprise level, because of all the different, there were like 4 or 5 different work streams that they needed to tie in and to utilize that solution. So we recommended a more of a robust enterprise grade solution. The cost obviously did increase, but when they saw the value of what the solution would do in terms of giving them a better ROI, they made the decision that was the right way to go. So it just all depends on from the assessments that's being done and working with the client to understand what their overall goal is, and not just from a year from now, but what the overall goal is 5 years from now, and then showing them a roadmap how to get there, and then putting that roadmap and plan together, and then they kind of help us. We kind of help them determine what direction to go in.
Right. 2 last questions for you. Who are your ideal clients, and what's the best way for them to contact your company?
Yes. So our ideal clients obviously is federal agencies. We do a lot of work with federal agencies, and again, that's the government again is one of the biggest customers out there. But more importantly, there's a excitement for us too when working with federal agencies. Being ex-military, I'm an ex-veteran myself, and being that we are a veteran-owned company as well too, it gives us pride in knowing that we are helping in particular with us, we do a lot of work with DoD. It gives us a lot of value in knowing that we're helping our military men and women be able to successfully accomplish their mission. So there's a great pride and value in doing that. So obviously, in that regards, the military, federal agencies that support the military, those agencies that we really like doing work with. We also too like to work with some of the your Fortune 1000 and Fortune 500 corporations as well. We feel that those companies in particular, we've done a lot of work in the past with telecommunication companies, and we do a lot of work with financial organizations. So a lot of our capabilities is focused around telecommunications and finance. We do do a lot of work in that space. And so, helping them with their staff augmentation needs, helping them with putting together, becoming more efficient in that regards. Obviously, we feel value in that because in the end, that not only helps to impact their bottom line, but it also helps us to be able to provide the larger customers in general, customers who these these organizations sell to. It helps them to be able to have better products and services. So we feel that from that perspective, we are having a greater impact on society as a whole.
Right. And what's the best way for the federal side and the Fortune 1000 side to contact your team?
Yeah, the best way obviously is to go to our website. All of our contact information is on our website at www.iboxg. That's I as in India, B as in boy, O as in Oscar, X as in X-ray, G as in George.com. For one, that's the best way because a lot of information is readily available on our website. And of course, as I said, we're doing a refresh of our website. So there's going to be a lot of new content that will be there that gives them a greater understanding of what we can offer. There will be, we're going to be doing, as part of that rebranding, we're going to be putting case studies out of things that we've done. So going there, getting, you're able to get more information about who we are and what we do. And then our contact information is located on that website as well. So again, the website address is www.iboxg.com.
Timothy, it's been awesome having you on my show today. I really enjoyed hearing how you grew your company so fast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as well.
We've been speaking with Timothy Mercer, the managing director of IBOX Global, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.